Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another spoiler review. And today we'll be talking about a Lifetime movie called Mistletoes and Menorahs. The reason I really wanted to get into this because it's one of a few Lifetime slash Hallmark movies that I thoroughly enjoyed. Uh, but I had to talk about this, especially given its you know, Hanukkah, very recently started, and I want to do well. It should be like a fair bit of uh, good Hanukkah films out there, or at least based in the holiday. But usually from my recollection, because like the Adam Sandler movie Eight Crazy Nights, looking back on it, I mean, it was respectful, but still during that time when Adam Sandler was doing his Adam Sandler shtick, and I mean, I'm not gonna say it's because it's not any way disrespectful to the the Jewish holidays and everything like that. I'm not saying that, but looking back on it, it's like it could have been told better because you even still had like Rob Schneider doing like an Asian stereotype character, and like you got like a character named Whitey with like you know dwarfism kind of situation, and was poking fun at that. I mean, it, it's a whole thing, and it's like if you want to tell like a good, it could have been like a really good Hanukkah story, like probably easily one of the best for the holiday, right up there with like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, that kind of thing. It could have been on that kind of level of one of the greats, but you know, it. Oh, I can't really front. I mean, like at that time when it came out, because we all love Adam Sandler. I still love Adam Sandler, and he's one of the funniest dudes. You know, I can remember, and it's like, I probably did, laugh at the jokes, and there's still stuff about it that I still laugh at, but it's just like I want like you know, at least tell like at least a really good, at least something I enjoyed, and I figured like, hey, it's talking about like the Jewish holiday, let's put one, uh, let's uh, uh, put one out that's like very cool, respectful to the traditions, and it's just like just fun, just overall fun. Uh, yeah. So yeah. 1 second here. Let me make sure. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to Talkative Carl on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Follow me on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/talkativecarl. And the links are in the description if you want to check out my Patreon for further support. So, 1 second here. Okay. Mistletoes and Menorahs, yeah, starring Kelly Jackell as Christy Dickinson, Jake Epstein as Jonathan Silver, Corey Lee, Samantha Ames, John McLaren as Peter Carlson. So, Christy is a toy company executive, and she has in order to land a dream job, well, not a dream job, but a big account. Uh, she has to impress uh, a boss who is, Jewish, and she's like big on like Christmas, and it's like she knows how to throw a great Christmas party, and so she was tasked in throwing him a party, but she did not know, this man well, it's not like a boss, like they work in the same company, but it's kind of like, you know, he's kind of like one of those, jobs where it's like, this big exec can like easily put you into the fold, but you don't know him. He's probably like, it's the first time you meet this person, and it's like, oh, this could, make it or break it for me. I gotta impress this new guy, and she assumes that, like I can easily throw him like a great Christmas party. I love Christmas, I love the whole traditions and everything like that. But then she was told like, hey, he's actually Jewish, so you'll probably have to, throw him like a good Jewish party. And she doesn't know anything about the Jewish traditions and everything like that. So her friend, who works with her, explains like, hey, I know this guy uh, who can help you out with that. He, in fact, needs help with impressing his girlfriend's father by, you know, getting involved in the Christmas traditions, which he has not really gotten involved in. And the thing is, this is one of the things like that kind of confused me with this guy, who's great character. Jonathan's a great character, but even though you probably grew up not involving yourself with Christmas traditions, he make it seem like he's like, well, partially he make it seem like he hasn't even like heard of such things or seen or witnessed things firsthand, like wrapping gifts. Or it's like, is there a wrong way or a right way to wrap gifts kind of situation? You've seen people wrap gifts, it's do the exact same thing. It's like, and like, I'm pretty sure you made birthday presents before. It's the same thing. But he, most of the stuff that he like heard was pretty much like, not stereotypes, but just jokes that you've seen like from TV shows and movies, like the fruitcake. I personally don't think I ever had fruitcake before, to be honest with you. But I mean, I have to admit, I kind of agree with him on this one. From my recollection, just like him, from what I've always learned from movies and TVs, the fruitcake was always crap food. Don't know why it was always like that. I don't even know how that kind of rumor started. But maybe at some point I want to try fruitcake and see how it really tastes. I mean, like, go to like a decent store that serves freshly made fruitcakes and try it for myself, because maybe, who knows, because anybody can, whoever had fruitcake can tell me whether or not how good it is, or if it's just mad or whatever, the taste and what have you. But yes, for all he knew, fruitcakes were disgusting, so he never even bothered with it. So she goes, down to this coffee shop to meet her this friend of her friend kind of situation, to meet, talk, and see what's going on, kind of like just help each other out. And this girl who turns out to be new, but she doesn't know that at first, this new coffee shop girl, because keep blanking on her doggone name. Christy. Let's start Steve. Christy, give us super overly complicated like coffee order. Those type of people, like triple foam, mocha swirl, with 3 sugars, not too light, add blah, blah, a dash of honey, blah blah blah, and it's like, and then like and to be fair, she was going kind of fast for that girl, and but obviously came back kind of terrible. But she bumps into Jonathan, who she doesn't know that's the guy she's supposed to be seeing. He, just say like, kind of want to take it easy, and then, it's like a very overcomplicated kind of order kind of situation. And she comes back and I was like, it's nothing wrong with getting what you asked for. And it's like, there's a lot of movie that contradicts that kind of thing. It's like, On the one hand, no, it's nothing wrong if you ask for something. It's only right that you get what you ask for and pay for. But there's the other hand, it's like, you know, I don't know. It's just like, it's like it's hard to, gauge. It's like, it's it's kind of like, it's not that she was being an asshole, but it's like there's certain people that tend to be assholeness about them when it comes to like, this is not what I drink. When it comes to like, services like, cafes or restaurants, if you ask for something specific, you get it specifically. But there's gotta be like I can't think of a top of my head, but outside of that, there's certain things where it's like, you know, you can't always get the exact thing that you want kind of situation. If that makes any sense, uh, I know I'm even contradicting myself here, but it's like there's something about that line kind of rubs me the wrong way. That it's not 100% kind of thing in my mind. So they kind of like had this little negative exchange. They got definitely on the wrong foot. But unlike most Lifetime and Hallmark movies, they usually drag on quite a bit. But they just like, okay, because Frank, the work friend comes by, before they walks away, they like, hey, you need help with to learn about these traditional Jewish traditions, and you need help in order to pressure your girlfriend with all the Christmas traditions. So pull your resources together and help each other out. So along the way, I mean, if you're a Jewish person that never done any kind of or at least weren't allowed to involve yourself in any of the Christmassy, traditions and activities, and you always want to learn. This is not like a, it's not broad strokes, but this is kind of like this movie is like a good kind of like picture book, fundamental basics. And the same thing with like the Hanukkah traditions and things like you learn along the way if you are not of Jewish descent and you never practice any of the Hanukkah traditions. Matter of fact, even if you like, this is perfect for people who are, because just like the couples here, because they eventually start to grow close. And one of the things that I enjoyed is the fact that you can easily learn to love something that you haven't been involved in before, and you learn along with these characters. And if you happen to be in a relationship with a person, like say, like if you had like a boyfriend or girlfriend who is Jewish, but you haven't learned, or at least don't know, uh, the traditions. Of course, you can have them teach you and everything like that. But this movie can like easily give you like at the bare minimum a few tips. It doesn't cover the whole gambit, but it's like you learn about how like the history of the Festival of Lights and the menorahs, and it's really cool. And you learn about like latkes, these fried pancakes, pretty much. It's like, yeah, they're kind of like fried pancakes. Uh, uh, yeah, no, potato pancakes. I'm sorry. Latkes. It was fried foods, but it's like potato pancakes. Then you got the jelly donuts, which I think I had when had a little bit of when I worked at, or no, I think I might get them confused with those Greek ones at the Julasco store that I worked at years ago. They usually had those things on display, but I don't think they were like the jelly donuts or the safkenyat, or maybe the safkenya. If I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And then of course, you have Jonathan go over like the story of how like the menorah enlightened it, and the prayers and everything like that came into play when back in the day a Jewish temple was being raided, and most of the oil was pretty much destroyed, and he had only one to light one candle. But by a miracle, it lasted for 8 days. So it's pretty dope of a story. And side note, the first time I even my first affiliation with Jewish anything, don't laugh, but it was the Rugrats. When I was a little kid, because I loved the Rugrats. It was one of the best TV shows on Nickelodeon back in the 90s. And most of the cast, not the cast, but most of the characters were Jewish. Tommy Pickles, Angelica, and their parents. They were Jewish people. Not sure about Chucky, though. Maybe Chucky. I can't remember. But and then you had these, the holiday, events the Rugrats had. It was, partial Christmas, but you also learn about like, Hanukkah from them, because and I was learning about like Hanukkah without even realizing it as a kid, and that's a mark of a great storytelling. And to this day, I still recall. It's like tattooed in my brain. It's one of the funniest things, like out of like the Rugrats, that's still tattooed in my brain after all these years. When Angelica was trying to teach somebody how to pronounce Hanukkah, it's Hanukkah. You gotta when you say it, and it cracked me up as a kid. That was like, and that's how I like to pronounce Hanukkah. Like you gotta when you say it, and and that is fantastic. It was, I love that. So it's kind of like the same thing here. You're learning along the way, and I think that's most of the story here. It's like it's great. It's like a nice balance between learning about the Christmas traditions and learning about the Jewish traditions, running parallel with them getting to know each other through these traditions and growing, in the relationship. Even though one has a boyfriend, the other has a girlfriend, but obviously those two will fall through. She's with this guy who spends most of his time, if he's not at work, he's exercising or watching sports. Barely want to like spend time with Christy like that. Dude comes over to her house while she's like, practicing, cooking latkes for the first time, and he comes over, not even like, if I have a girlfriend and she's cooking, well, I've been in this kind of situation, because I mentioned in like a previous video before, my ex-girlfriend many years ago is half black, half German, half Filipino, and she had this like Filipino dish that she made for me called adobo, which is pretty much is like chicken and rice. And it was pretty dope. It's like, it's something that, especially if it's something you've never had before, and your girl go out her way to cook it for you, you'll be an idiot and an asshole not doing, not trying it. It's like, what is this? Like, is day one with you? It's like, and it's like, I was like, wow, what an asshole. Even the father recognized it, because it's like, he, just flat out and said like, where's your guy? It's like, let me guess, is he's like either working out or watching sports. And he goes out his way to go over her house, and the first thing he does is plop down on her couch and watches sports without at least chatting with her for a little while, see how her day went, and all this other stuff. And it's like, God, it's like, I mean, there's a tier list when it comes to these kind of movies where it's like the kind of idiot or asshole you know, significant other. Now he falls on the category of idiot. He's not an asshole. He's not mean spirited or anything like that. He's just clueless to the point. It's like, okay, dude, you clearly on a different wavelength than this chick. Like, but I gotta give it credit though. They could easily play. Because the girlfriend to Jonathan, these two can easily play, very mean spirited or just jealous or anything like that. But they didn't go that route. So I give them kudos to that. Like they chose a different path. Like these two just happen to not be compatible, and the relationship just falls through. There's no forced fight or anything like that. This is just like a natural thing. Like initially they seem like they're in sync, but with the Jonathan's girlfriend, who he doing this whole entire thing for, just like decides to which is kind of like left with no explanation, to be fair, because it's kind of like it kind of felt like we're missing a scene where it's like where she's confronting Jonathan into why she decided, okay, you don't have to do this whole thing, me and my father. Matter of fact, I just can't, do this with you, kind of situation. And it's like, what's the reason? He's going out of his way, for you to do this, and it's not like y'all from the scenes y'all had together, it doesn't look like y'all had any problems. I mean, like I said, unless there was like a scene cut somewhere along the way, it just seems the breakup seems out of nowhere. But yeah, I mean, like there's fun moments where she's trying to learn the Jewish prayers. He's meeting his grandmother who runs this Jewish shop where they send all these historical antiques from Israel and everything like that. Showing off child pictures of Jonathan and all this other stuff. And she still falls in line with the category of very not very pushy, but one of those parental figures that's like, oh, this is your new husband. Why would you assume that? I mean, I can understand why she would assume that, but she go and then she follows up with that. She didn't have to follow up with a comment like, "Oh, we'll see. I got a nose for these kind of things," or something like that. And it's like you gotta let that part out. It's like you can assume. It's one thing to assume a nephew or grandson or a son bringing to a girl to the shop, and you just assume that might be his girlfriend. But how long he's been dating that girl before he met Christy? You never brought her to meet your relatives at this shop before? Because it was you would assume the relationship has been bare minimum a year. So, well, it has to be, at most a year, I should say, because within I gotta say, at least the first 3 to 6 months, maybe around the time you meet each other's family. If he's getting ready to meet her father, she should have been getting ready to meet his relatives, and that's the strange part to me. But he's a teacher, and then he brings her along to meet these kids who run these fundraisers and everything like that, and she teaching them about of course ugly Christmas sweaters and wrapping gifts and finding the perfect Christmas tree, which, by the way, I never had to cut down my tree. It's cool if anybody does and everything like that. I don't find it I don't understand the appeal of it. And they search from the biggest tree and they bring it home to decorate. It seems like kind of like a mess, and it's like you want a tree to have every year. I'm not going out uh every late November, early December to cut down a tree and bring it home with whatever kind of bugs. Or have you ever seen like Christmas Vacation, which I will review at some point in the month. You don't know what kind of squirrels might be nesting in there, or anything like that. And you want the tree to store it somewhere so you can pull it out whenever you need to for the next year's holiday. But like I said, it's fun interactions while like learning like certain traditions. Making gingerbread houses, and like she showed him about certain desserts. He showed her about certain desserts that they knew, and every once in a while they end up, because there's like each one had like a list of things they want to go through to teach the other, and every once in a while those something on that list will intersect, because you know there's some differences to each tradition, but by and large they're not so different, because they're about community and family and togetherness, and just spending time with people you care about. So it's not like, and there's certain things that they kind of intersect. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty dope. And of course, the relationships fell apart, with those supposed significant others. And so okay, there's also this kind of B plot. Well, it's not even a B plot, it was like a B minus plot, depending on, or B plus depending on your point of view, where like the assistant to Christy, who obviously is very talented in Christy's eyes with her skill, with certain tasks that she was doing, she should be doing, because obviously Christy wants to go to the next step in her profession, and she want her assistant to take her spot, but she obviously is like stunting herself, because if she does, it's like one of those, as they mentioned with Jonathan, as she's getting some advice from him, which she should probably would have ascertained herself. It's kind of like commonplace of a diagnosis, but whatever. But it's like certain people who don't apply themselves figure like, well, I can't fail if I don't compete, but there's no way of succeeding either if you don't compete. So Chrissy fabricated this assignment and pretty much put her name on it, and like the higher ups want to bring her along, so you got that part out of the way. I don't think that part was really needed. I think that she was like a fine character to have, to get these two in the same room, and she served a purpose. Beyond that, don't really care. But she wasn't like a bad character, but she kind of already served a purpose. You're trying to add on just filler at this point. But as later on, Jonathan, after losing, which he doesn't seem too broken up about it, losing the girl that he's been with for probably X amount of months. I mean, like, and then Chrissy, well, I wouldn't imagine her to be too broken up after she got a rude awakening on how like oblivious this former boyfriend is. But she invites Jonathan to meet her family for Christmas dinner, and like they're watching these carolers singing a Christmas song, and then he got them to sing some Hanukkah songs, at least one Hanukkah song, while like they all get into the rhythm and the beat and enjoy themselves. It's like, that's fun. It's like you get a best of both worlds, and I'm digging this. And of course, later on, Jonathan goes to this big party to finally debut her uh this new toy for the company, and it's pretty much based off like, which ironically was an idea for Jonathan, but turned out to be like a kind of like a dumb idea, making like you know executives or CEOs as action figures or something like that. Didn't pan out, and some d bag in the workplace, which another person not really needed. You don't need an extra rival in this. I don't think this movie even needed something like that. This is like there's always already stakes in the matter. You don't need to add on like a rival employee that didn't serve a purpose. He was like there and gone. Uh, Stole her idea, but obviously failed because it's kind of boring as she already initially anticipated. But they used the whole story about like the raiding of the temple and the that led to the menorah lighting and the miracle, and to use the figures in that historical story and turn them into action figures because that's something like I guess kids never had Jewish kids never had you know back then, so now they physically do. And I thought that was like a pretty decent idea. I mean, I'm not sure how realistic it is, but I'm imagining, there's certain historical, especially of the Jewish history, wouldn't have like, you know, dolls or action figures of this particular situation. And and then it ends with, her getting like the gig while Jonathan and Chrissy kiss under the mistletoe, and the movie ends. Yeah, Mistletoe and Menorahs. Like, I watched this like I think it was like when this movie came out. Uh, it it came out in 2019. Wow, it seemed longer than that. This 2020 kind of felt like 5 years. Uh, but yeah, it since then, like I thought it was a pretty dope story, and it's like it's like a little over an hour, but it kind of felt like it kind of felt shorter, and it's like it's a tight movie, and like I honestly barely saw any cliches, lifetime hallmark cliche crap in this. And like what little I did see is like with the whole obligatory fight between Chrissy and Jonathan when he's like you know overhearing what the former boyfriend was talking about, like, oh, like I know it's best for her, that's why we're gonna she needs to get to the next step and earn money and all other stuff. It's like a whole thing, and he's like, yeah, you shouldn't settle, or all this other stuff, which they could have just explain a little bit better about what he heard from this dude and laid it out for like y'all two are on different wavelengths. He said this blase 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 in full details, and so it's like you're gonna have to like talk with him and see tell him like what your plan is instead of him trying to like force that on his plan onto you. But that was probably the only, at least from watching this, the only thing that seems forcibly cliche. But thankfully, that only lasted for like a couple of scenes. Like at the end of that scene when she's hearing this from him, and then the next scene when her and the ex-boyfriend's at the restaurant and she's hearing that, and then the very next scene is she's coming to the grandmother's shop to buy an apology gift. So it's like snappy, like which I like. I mean, it's one thing to have cliches, and another thing to have that cliches drag on for unnecessary length of time. But yeah, Mistletoes and Menorahs, I give it like a good. Let's give it like a B plus. It's like honestly, it's like a well above average movie. Obviously not perfect. Can't confidently give it an A, but I gotta say, I mean, it's like right at the cusp. It's depending, like, your point of view. But yeah, I mean, like, I definitely recommend giving this a watch, especially, a nice. It's like, I definitely would count this as a good Hanukkah / Christmas story, a best of both worlds, honestly. So yeah, that is my review of Mistletoes and Menorahs. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to Talkative Carl on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and follow me on my Patreon if you want to further support the channel. And yeah, I mean, hit that like button. The YouTube algorithm and all that other stuff. That would be greatly helpful. So yeah, and of course, if anybody out there who is uh, 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 of Jewish descent, to all my Jewish brothers and sisters, happy Hanukkah. I hope this year's Hanukkah goes super well for you, and yeah, and also happy holidays to all the other religious iconographies, and yeah, and look for more Christmas movies that I have on the list. I'm gonna try to pump at least a couple of them out each week leading up to December, obviously December 25th. And oh, by the way, before I sign off, I did earlier this morning, like 2 a.m, I got my ticket to Spider-Man No Way Home, so I'm excited. So I'm gonna go on that Thursday 3 p.m, which is like the first time it's like. Not, it was, obviously the Eternals was the first time I went to like a Thursday opening, but it was like 6 p.m. that I had to go. But this one's at 3 p.m. Obviously they need to make some extra room to fill up seats because it's gonna be like a massive thing. So normally I don't go any other day but like a Saturday morning, so I have to deal with that many people. But it wouldn't have even mattered with a movie like this. This is gonna be a massive event, and it's probably gonna be a fair bit of full seats in the audience for at least several days. That's how big this movie's gonna be. So I believe, because I'm not gonna I'm gonna probably have to put some time off the next day. If I'm scheduled to work the next day, I'm gonna probably have to use some pay time off, anything that's stored, so that way I have an extra day to soak in what I'm gonna witness, and then I can then make a video. I'm not gonna make the video on that very same day as I see it, because I know there's gonna probably be some spoilers. I don't want to put a video out there early. I'm gonna maybe wait till Friday afternoon, make a video about what I saw, my thoughts, and everything like that. So look forward to those. And this Friday I will wrap up all the Spider-Man films with Into the Spider-Verse, which is kind of apt given the circumstances here. And mind you, just really quick, because I meant to post this on Twitter, but I haven't never gotten around to it. Don't forget, the video game Spider-Man Into the Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions was the original Spider-Verse before Spider-Verse was a thing. And I have that video game. I have an entire walkthrough on my YouTube channel, so please check that out. Familiarize yourself with at least 4 different iterations of Spider-Man work together to fight, several villains, including from different universes, including Mysterio as the ultimate big bad in this. And so yeah, that would be great. Check that out on the channel as well. And it was around that time I didn't have audio working as good as I do now, so you won't hear any commentary, but just enjoy the gameplay. And so yeah, once again, I'll see you guys soon. Take care.